Hello, thank you for joining me, Doug Fine, for this episode of the Defined Engagement BookCast. Today we'll be talking to author Devin Halliday, who wrote Belonging Factor: How Great Brands and Great Leaders Inspire Loyalty, Build Community, and Grow Profits. We'll be discussing Chapter 3 today, The Past Informs the Present, My Privilege. Welcome, Devin, again. Thank you very much for joining me. Enjoy. Hello, everybody. How are you today? My name is Doug Fine, and I'm here with Devin Halliday. And we're here to talk about his book, Belonging Factor: Let me start over. How great brands and great leaders inspire loyalty, build community, and grow profits. And I've taken a little time to screw that up. So Devin, your book, I'm enjoying it very much. I think that you have your ability to share your thoughts and the things that you've learned over your career and your life and your consulting business is in here. I'm very proud of knowing you a little bit and knowing how there's a lot of profound things in here. And I really appreciate it, really enjoying this book. And hopefully our listeners and people watching this are going to go out and get it, because it's definitely something that a leader and or a team member can grab hold of. And in these kind of changing times in business and teams, there's a lot of answers in here. So thank you for joining me, and I look forward to talking to you about Chapter 3 today.
Yeah, Doug, I appreciate it. It's such kind words. I very much appreciate it. And you're right. It was written very much for both people who are existing leaders,
right,
who are looking for ways to kind of refresh or even just dig back inside themselves to unlock some of those things that they may have shelved for one reason or another over time.
Yeah.
And then also for aspiring leaders, or those who at some point in their life think, you know what, I'll probably be in charge of helping other people accomplish stuff. Maybe I should get a heads up on the way I can think about some of what that looks like. So absolutely, you nailed it. Written for whether you're part of a team, you run your own business, but you interface with people, or in many cases, you run a brand or run a business or a portion of a business that requires you to get work done with other people.
There you go. So I want to, if before we start talking about Chapter 3, which is interesting in itself, Chapter 3 is The Past Informs the Present, My Privilege. So we're going to talk about what you think, hear a little bit about your thoughts about your privilege. But before we do that, in the tag you say, great brands and great leaders inspire loyalty, build community, and grow profits. So today, would you be willing just to share a little bit about inspiring loyalty? Who inspires loyalty? Whose job is it to inspire loyalty? Whose job is it to have loyalty? Because I think loyalty in the past 30 years in business and organizations, it's very tenuous, if it even exists at all anymore. So when you put inspire loyalty on a cover of your book, I got to ask you, man, what are you talking about?
Right. Yeah. So aren't we past that, right? Aren't we past pledging loyalty to a person and fealty to this company or this business? Aren't we past that these days? Aren't we into some other things? Sure. That's one way to look at it. Particularly the old school ideology of what loyalty was, which is, the quote unquote boys club, the you got my back, I got yours. Some of those other things, don't question my my directives or my transgressions or anything else.
Be loyal to me. Be loyal to me.
Yeah, that's the old school way, right?
Right. But isn't it old school to say be loyal to the company too?
Yeah, also to say be loyal to a company. Now, I had the distinction of spending almost 2 decades at one company.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't happen by accident, right? There were many times and many opportunities to go do other things throughout the course of those almost 2 decades. And the decision every single time didn't come down to, oh, but I might be disloyal to this company. It came down to an alignment of values. And that's so much about what this book is talking about. So when the concept of inspiring loyalty is really about living and breathing values through your behaviors, through the organizational culture, through the products you deliver, through the services you deliver, through how you interface and interact with employees and customers, through all of those behaviors that engender that sense of belonging. This is where I am because I'm supposed to be here, because it hits me in all the feels and I am charged up for it. Well, a real simple word that's only a couple syllables to put on the cover of a book that helps really, I guess, capture what that thing is, that I belong here so much, I'm going to stay here until I feel like I don't. But I think loyalty is kind of that word, right? And so really in the context of the book, loyalty is much more a little bit focused towards the external. So a customer's relationship with a business.
Right.
But also it touches on a few parts with the employee or internal loyalty throughout the book. But when we talk about building community, that is very much both internal and external. And then of course, profits is something that derives from a great internal sense of belonging, sense of culture, sense of pride and value alignment that then reflects in external earnings.
Yeah.
So for loyalty, it really is, whose job is it? You asked that question, whose job is it? It's everybody's job who is within an organization and has the ability to influence or shape the behaviors and values of that organization. So in really well-run organizations, that's every single employee. And ultimately, you have to be loyal to your own values and to what you as a human and as an individual hold to be, self-evident and true. And so when you found that organization where you have a voice that can be part of shaping that and everything really aligns there is a sense of loyalty. And that's really what we're hitting on.
Well, the fact that you, Devin, and I'm getting to know you a little bit, the fact that you stayed somewhere for 20 years, kind of like, and I'm just kind of going with the type of person you are. You're very creative. You speak your mind. You have deep values about inclusion and diversity and building organizations. So you must have been getting something while you were delivering too. You were gaining something for 20 years from that company that you worked for. So it was definitely a good exchange for you.
Absolutely. And that's the point is loyalty in the sense that we talk about it as it relates to belonging is not a one-way street. It's not pledging loyalty no matter what. It's saying that I'm recognizing that there's such a great alignment of values, such a sense of purpose and belonging, alignment there behaviorally within the organization, what's expected of me, what I give back, the sense of satisfaction, all of those things that really go into kind of that real true sense of belonging. If all of those are met, yeah, I'm loyal. So does that mean I'm disloyal if those aren't met? No, because I'm still loyal to my values. And that's really what it is. It's building the sense of purpose alignment and value alignment that creates that sense of belonging or that purpose for employees. And they're going to be loyal to themselves, right? Everybody should be.
Yes.
Hopefully people don't do things that are maybe in their own disinterest,
Yeah. So chapter 3 of this book, Belonging Factor, it's chapter 3 is the past informs the present, parent my privilege. So my question, Devin, is, why have a chapter in this book about belonging? Why have a chapter about privilege, and how do you view it, and why did you include it, and maybe even a little bit about your story, understanding your privilege?
Sure. The example I write about in the book was an example from boot camp where I learned, and this was Navy boot camp. I was enlisted in the Navy.
Go Navy.
Yeah, absolutely. And I experienced for the very first time that I was aware of and that I could recognize, but I didn't recognize it in the moment. It was actually hindsight, where essentially because of my skin color, I was less qualified in a few observable and measurable categories than a person who had brown skin color and who had a Hispanic last name. And less qualified than him, I was selected as a leader in our division. as the leader, recruit leader within our division. And I didn't know at the time that what the qualifications were. And we got to talking, we got to learning, and I learned so much from this other gentleman, although I was in charge.
Mm-hmm.
And I relied on building both a partnership and learning from him to be able to lead in a way that both aligned with what I felt was right, made those, happy that needed to be made happy, which was our white petty officers that were in charge of all of us. And then, it took a while for me to realize that, geez, we were both people who could have been selected, and they had the same information for boot of us as far as our skills, our accomplishments, our history, the experiences we had, any rank that we had in a pre boot camp group. And he outranked me. He was more physically fit than me. He had more experience than me, and I was the one that was selected. So the only thing I could think is that these recruit petty officers who were using so much racially charged language in motivating us during our training time could have had that bias affecting them as well in their selection of who was to lead. So all of that is to say, when I talked about in a previous chapter that we recorded my sense of belonging for the military, and that's where I felt like I probably belonged in my life. And then, coming to realize this was one of those moments, and it was almost instant, although I didn't recognize it. It was almost instant in my journey in the military, to where there was a little bit of difference in alignment of values. So what does this do, though, for a white person confronting privilege? It's weird, because I worked hard. I earned the things that I got. I've struggled. And so there's a lot of folks who say white privilege isn't real, it doesn't exist, it's not a thing, because, I've been broke, I've been this, I've been that. I've been told no. Yeah, absolutely. But it's never been because of the color of my skin. Whereas for people who are black or brown, people who are in any marginalized group, it's just because of that hijab that they wear, or it's just because of the color of their skin. Or sometimes you don't even see their skin, and you just see a resume that has a name on it. And it's just because of the spelling or the apostrophes in the name, those kind of things that...
Does the name sound ethnic, if you will?
Right. And so I needed to touch on that, because an important concept about belonging is growth, and is not being in these silos and saying, well, these are my values and this is what it is because I was raised to be X, Y, Z. Because in the first 21 years of my life, these were the influences and pieces of knowledge I gained, and so that's it. I'm done. Yeah. But to really sit there and go, you know what? Our past informs our present. And so we have to examine and understand, what are the sources of information that I've taken in? What have they taught me? How have they helped me get to here? But what else do I need to know to get to that next place? And so as a leader, as anybody in a career growth, you understand intrinsically that you're never going to promote to that next level with the set of skills that you acquired to get to the current position you have. So why would we think life is any different? Why would we think we just go, all right, cool, 25 years old, I've got what I need to take me through the next 70 years.
I got it. No more need to learn anything else. Or it's like it'll all come together when I'm 22 or 23.
Right.
Sorry, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so to be able to have those moments, and this is one of the critical components we'll talk about when we get to chapter 5, but to have impeccable ability to self-reflect. Now, I'm still a learner. I wouldn't call myself impeccable. And if I can ever call myself impeccable in my ability to self-reflect, I'm probably lying.
I'll slap you around.
Yeah, right. Because again, it's always something we can get better at, and and so that's such an important piece that this chapter helps, I think, start to set up, which is be aware of your biases, be aware of those things that have shaped or influenced where you have gotten to now, so you can understand what you get to grow on, what you get to keep as it is, and what you need to get rid of as you continue to progress.
Yeah, I think it's you do cover briefly in this chapter about this thing called unconscious bias, and it's like it's a tough one. It's a tough one to deal with because you're asking, and a lot of people are asking us these days, especially Caucasians, like you have to be aware of of what you're not aware of. So that's a task in itself. Like, how do I do that? It's like sounds contradictory. Become aware of what you're unaware of, and so it's a journey. It takes self-reflection. It takes listening more than we talk. All that kind of good stuff.
Yeah, you nailed it. For those of a particular age, might remember that we had a Secretary of Defense in this country named Donald Rumsfeld.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And he worked under George W. Bush, President George W. Bush, 43.
Mm-hmm.
And he famously said, as it related to the intelligence that led to the invasion of Iraq for weapons of mass destruction, which has turned out to be, in retrospect, something that probably our intelligence and our decision making didn't align. He said, well, there are known knowns, and then there are unknown knowns, and there are unknown knowns. There are those things that we don't know that we don't know we don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, whoa, is this Inception? Like, how many layers am I getting sucked into this one? But it's true.
Yeah.
You can know there are things you don't know. I know there are things I don't know. But there are things I don't know that I don't know them, because I don't even know that they exist. So I have no idea. But I don't know that I don't know that I don't know. That went to a certain level for me that went, if we all just took that time to go, what are those things that enter my brain that I filter one way or the other, that I can just pause for a second and go, okay, why am I filtering it this way? Suddenly, there's more clarity. There's more that we have the opportunity to start to move forward with. So chapter 3 is a very short chapter, but I think it's an important one for anybody who's reading and anybody who's listening to it on the audiobook, to be able to go, all right, this is the one where I'm going to do a little bit of my own work before I start to learn some new concepts.
Cool. Well, Devin, thanks for covering chapter 3 a little bit to give a little hint of what's in there for your readers and people that listen to your audiobook. And again, the book is Belonging Factor: How Great Brands and Great Leaders Inspire Loyalty, Build Community, and Grow Profits. Devin Halliday, thank you again for this, and we'll see you in a bit, and we'll talk about chapter 4.
Sounds great.
Thanks. See you then. Bye-bye. Thank you again, my friends, for joining us today for the Defined Engagement BookCast. Next week, we'll be talking to Devin about Chapter 4, Why the Future Can't Wait. That's from his book, Belonging Factor. You can look at and visit me and my guests at this website for other bookcasts, and I hope that you will join us again next time. Thank you again for joining us, and we'll see you soon.